found this article on positivepsychology.com, and it had insights in here that's a little bit different than some of the stuff we've been doing. It's kind of like more on a basic level at first to kind of give you a better understanding about what gratitude is and like the word gratitude in itself. So it starts out with this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it says, "Cultivate the habit of being grateful for every good thing that comes to you and to give thanks continuously. And because all things have contributed to your advancement, you should include all things in your gratitude." So I really like that. It's talking about how, if you look at everything with a sense of gratitude, you'll have a better appreciation of like where you are today. And it makes me think of, when I first came into recovery, I was having a conversation with my dad, and I was like, I'm grateful I'm an addict. And he kind of looked at me funny. It was like, okay. And I explained to him, if it wasn't for everything that I've been through, and it wasn't for everywhere that I had been and all these things that had shaped me into who I was, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I can look back on all of that and, with a negative perspective and like, oh, poor me, and why did this happen to me, and all these other things. But because I can look back on it and be grateful for where I am today because of it, it just gives me a whole nother level of appreciation. So it says, Emerson offers a helpful introduction into what practicing gratitude can look like. And this article will begin there and explore the current psychological research behind this value. Gratitude is an emotion similar to appreciation, and positive psychology research has found neurological reasons why so many people can benefit from this general practice of expressing thanks for our lives, even in times of challenge and change. To begin, though, we need to define what we mean by gratitude. Before we continue, we thought you might like to download, we can skip that because you can download it from here. So the first section says, what is gratitude, and 10 definitions. Many of us express gratitude by saying thank you to someone who has helped us or given us a gift. From a scientific perspective, however, gratitude is not just an action. It is also a positive emotion that serves a biological purpose. Positive psychology defines gratitude in a way where scientists can measure its effects and thus argue that gratitude is more than feeling thankful. It is a deeper appreciation for someone or something that produces longer lasting positivity. Well, it's pretty, like, when you think about it, it's not just like a feeling, but something that defines us and something that helps create, this mindset in us. So not only when people are showing you gratitude, like, that it makes you feel better, but knowing that you can have that positive effect in return. So before continuing, we have 10 definitions to provide a cultural context, how the word has changed over time. So the first one is, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, gratitude is simply the state of being grateful. Pretty basic. The Harvard Medical School provides more detail, writing that gratitude is a thankful appreciation for an individual receives, whether tangible or intangible. With gratitude, people acknowledge the goodness in their lives. As a result, gratitude also helps people connect to something larger than themselves as individuals, whether to other people, nature, or a higher power. This provides a more helpful context, leading us into the next definition from psychiatric researchers. So I guess Merriam-Webster was a little too basic, but they're basically giving you a perspective on, what gratitude is and how to accomplish it, and like the good things that can result from it. So the next one is from psychiatry researchers who define gratitude as the appreciation of what is valuable and meaningful to oneself and represents a general state of thankfulness and or appreciation. So that's nice. Like, valuable and meaningful to oneself. So it's not giving you a definition of exactly what to be appreciative for, exactly what gratitude is, because it's different to everybody. There's another one here that says the researchers also offer this definition: an emotion that is typically evoked when one receives costly, unexpected, and intentionally rendered benefits. I mean, usually more expensive is nicer, but okay. And is thought to play a key role in regulating the initiation and maintenance of social relationships. So that's kind of an interesting concept that seems to be more based on, things that are tangible, as far as like giving gifts or, providing something that, to maintain relationships. It's kind of funny to look at the two comparison on like opposite ends of the spectrum, because here this one's focusing more on, like things instead of like feelings. So there's another one. It says another simple definition of gratitude that comes from psychology research is a social emotion that signals our recognition of the things others have done for us. I think it's pretty basic. Even if that's like saying thank you, or, like a hug or anything else that recognizes when someone's done something that you appreciate. This definition is important because it brings a social element into the definition of gratitude. The social aspect of gratitude from this theologian says, if we acquire a good through exchange, effort, or achievement, or by right, then we don't typically feel gratitude. Gratitude is an emotion we feel in response to receiving something good, which is undeserved. And I think that is very true. When we receive something that we believe we are entitled to, we kind of take it for granted. And over the years, like I have been, done this myself several times. Like I thought it was my right to have, either a nice car or, clothes or, all these things that were really, and I took them for granted. And now we're actually like have to put some work in and to get to my goals. I appreciate the things that I have in my life today. So let's see. Or something that you feel is undeserved. So I think with that portion of it, it's, kind of goes towards like the humility. Like, not that you feel like you're unworthy, but sometimes like we do things just for the sake of doing them, just to be a good person, not because we're expecting something in return. So another definition emphasizing its social aspect comes from social psychology researchers who claim that gratitude is a positively balanced emotion that can arise when another person, a benefactor, does something kind for the self. I like that. We think a lot about doing things for others or others doing things for us, but we don't think about the things that we do for ourselves. And, we have to show ourselves the same recognition and the same appreciation that we would show others. So one morality-based psychologist writes that gratitude is not goods delivered in response to payment. It is a response to a gift. Gratitude as a response to a gift is also a form of generosity, of graciously crediting the other for something that was not strictly owed. So you go into a store, you want something to drink, you hand the money for the drink. You say thank you, it's polite, but it's what's expected. That's how the world works. You can't just walk in and take it and say thank you and wait and walk out the door. But when you receive something that's unexpected, that's where that gratitude comes into place. And like being in response to a gift, like something that you don't feel you're owed, something that you feel the person did for you out of the kindness of their heart. So the next one says, to understand further, Robert Emmons offers his psychological research definition on the topic that gratitude has been conceptualized as an emotion, a virtue, a moral sentiment, a motive, a coping response, a skill, and an attitude. It is all of these and more. Minimally, gratitude is an emotional response to a gift. It is the appreciation felt after one has been the beneficiary of an altruistic act. That's pretty intense. So emotion, a virtue, a moral sentiment, a motive, a coping response, a skill, and an attitude, and more. So it's, that's a pretty big deal when you think about it. I mean, a lot of times you think of it as an emotion, for something that someone has done for us or something that we have in our lives that we are just like, fills us with like this happy feeling. But like a moral sentiment or a coping response, even a skill. I mean, that goes back to what we do here on Tuesday nights. Like developing gratitude when you've lived in like the world of addiction can be difficult because you're so stuck into all the negativity and the things that you don't have and the struggles that you're going through. It takes practice to find gratitude. So, the more you practice it, the more you hone in on that skill, the better you are at it, just like anything else. It takes practice to be able to do it and do it successfully and have an impact in your life. So I think so far that's my favorite one. So Emmons explains gratitude deeper in another paper. He and his co-author, Robin Stern, say that gratitude has a dual meaning, a worldly one and a transcendent one. In its worldly sense, gratitude is a feeling that occurs in interpersonal exchanges when one person acknowledges receiving a valuable benefit from another, which is a lot of what the definitions we've read so far have been talking about. So then it goes on to say that gratitude is a cognitive affective state that is typically associated with the perception that one has received a personal benefit that was not intentionally sought after, deserved, or earned, but rather because of the good intentions of another person. So that's the other side of it where, they're talking about the perception that one's received something. Because sometimes we do for others without realizing the impact it's going to have. Because to one person, giving, at least for instance, there's been times where I've been at the store and the person in front of me like is $1 short or whatever, and I'll just be like, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. And to one person, that could be an insult. To another person, that could be like, oh, thanks, appreciate it, I'm in a hurry, whatever. And to somebody else, that could make their entire week because that dollar means something different to everybody. So it's a lot of perspective. It's a lot of like, you never know where a person is in their life or what they're going through or the struggle that they're having. So when, you're doing something like that without, intentionally seeking some sort of gratitude or indebtedness, like, it's something that I don't do because I want to be recognized. It's something that I just do because I see somebody struggling and pay it forward. So many people have done it for me in the past as well. So it's like just knowing the different places that people are in their lives and the way that different things, no matter how small, can make like the biggest impact to some people. So it wraps up by saying we hope these definitions of gratitude provide a psychological, social, and religious context for this positive emotion. Whether you agree with all the definitions or identify with one, we are now equipped to delve into its greater role in our health and daily lives. In summary, gratitude is a positive emotion felt after being the beneficiary of some sort of gift. It is also a social emotion, often directed towards a person, the giver of a gift, or felt towards a higher power. So, and then it also talks about, lists some synonyms here for gratitude, which are words that, you know what I mean, are similar to gratitude. So there's acknowledgement, appreciativeness, grace, gracefulness, gratefulness, praise, recognition, requital, responsiveness, and thankfulness. Acknowledgement, appreciativeness, and thankfulness are most relatable to the purpose of gratitude. And then it also gives some antonyms for gratitude, which are the opposite of, which is censure, condemnation, thanklessness, and ungratefulness, obviously. And it says people are not appreciative despite being the beneficiary of an altruistic act. So just because you do something nice for somebody doesn't mean they're going to appreciate it. Unfortunately, you know what I mean? That's going to be a common occurrence. So it says, can you think of a time when you felt this? Most people can. It is not a pleasant experience for anyone. You know, and I'll go back to being at the store. You walk in, you hold the door for somebody, and they completely ignore you. No, thank you, no, nothing. It happens, you know, and it kind of feels like you get slighted or jaded, but again, you don't know where people are. They may be in their head, they may have something else going on, they may be, you know, any number of things, or they may be rude, who knows, but, but it's easier not to make assumptions and, you know what I mean, to like just kind of let it go and move on. But thanklessness deprives people of the emotional rewards of gratitude. And this article hopes to offer tangible ways on how to cultivate a more appreciative state of being. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do here with Gratitude Day. You know, we're trying to cultivate an atmosphere of gratitude and positivity in hopes that it will, you know, start with you and then spill out into the world and, you know, go from there. Like the whole ripple effect, a little stone ripples out to greater things. So the last thing I'm going to go over tonight is the 2 stages of gratitude. So according to Dr. Robert Emmons, the feeling of gratitude involves 2 stages. 1, first comes the acknowledgement of goodness in one's life. In a state of gratitude, we say yes to life. We affirm that all in all, life is good. It has elements that make worth living and rich in texture. The acknowledgement that we have received something gratifies us, both by its presence and by the effort the giver put into choosing it. So it's not that we're just grateful for what we received, but for the effort that the person who gave it to us put into it. And I think that kind of, it reminds me of when my kids were younger and, you know, you get like the homemade Mother's Day gifts from school or, you know, whatever. And those little cards that they wrote themselves or the little things that they like make for you, like always meant so much more to me than something they could have bought at a store because of what they put into it. So the second one says that gratitude is recognizing that some of the sources of this goodness lie outside of the self. One can be grateful to other people, to animals, and to the world, but not to oneself. At this stage, we recognize the goodness in our lives and who to thank for it, who made sacrifices so that we could be happy. I think that can sometimes come with maturity, you know, because I think when we're younger, we don't, you know, have the appreciation for things that we do as we get older. You know, as kids, we're kind of like, okay, it's my parents' job to like feed me and clothe me and do all these things. But when we get older, it's looking back and realizing the sacrifices that went into doing all those things for us as children. So the 2 stages of gratitude comprise the recognition of the goodness in our lives and then how this goodness came to us. externally lies. By this process, we recognize the luck of everything that makes our lives and ourselves better. So that's going to wrap up tonight's episode of Gratitude Tuesday. Please come out and join us. We're here every Tuesday night at 7. We also have other virtual groups here that we would love for you to come take part in person and do some of the gratitude workshops and other projects that we do here. So come out and take part, and you guys have a good night.